welcome to Ready to Heal. I'm your host, Betsy Sawyer Galen, and I'm here to introduce you to various different modes of healing. Some of them you've heard of, some of them you've never heard of, probably. And today I'm welcoming back our guest, Linda Hendrick. She's going to talk to us some more about Reiki. We started talking with her a few weeks ago, and now we're going to talk a little bit more and see a demonstration of how it's done. So thank you for coming back.
My pleasure.
And welcome. I want to ask you again, just tell us briefly, what is Reiki and how did you get started doing it?
Wow. Just a little question there. Reiki is a form of hands-on healing. It is the channeling of energy through the practitioner or the person to whoever is being treated. And it can also be used on yourself, which is sort of a nice little added attraction. It's been around since the early part of the 20th century. It was just rediscovered by a gentleman named Usui, who brought it into public knowledge. But he got the information. It was channeled to him when he was on a 21-day meditation fast at the top of a mountain in Japan.
Oh.
So it's sort of woo-woo, but it works. Works. And I found it strictly through, I was always looking for something. I was always on a spiritual journey, and in the course of taking a meditation class, met a gentleman who was my teacher, who became my Reiki master. He started talking about it one night in class, and this was in 1989. I had never heard of Reiki, didn't know what it was, but it intrigued me, so I decided to give it a shot. And
you've been doing it ever since,
yeah,
right?
It changed my life, truly changed my life, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
That's great.
In a good way.
Of course. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about, you brought some charts here.
Yes.
I want you to tell us a little bit about how it works. Last time we talked about some of the applications that you've used it for. Mm-hmm. And here I want you to tell us a little bit more about how it actually works in the body. And do you want to show the?
Well, I was going to say, yeah. If we want to take a look at this chart now, I don't know. Do you want me to hold it like this? Is this good? Can you see this? Okay. Anyway, this is a chart of the chakras, and the chakras are energy centers in the body, and there are. The main chakras that we are using in Reiki are the 7 chakras, the main chakras. There are many, many, many other ones, secondary chakras. But the ones that we are most concerned with in Reiki are the first 7 chakras. The first chakra is at the base of the spine, and each chakra has a color associated with it, also different parts of the bodies and different functions of the bodies, different systems and emotions. So the first chakra is the color red is associated with it, and it has to do with your basic needs, your survival issues, basically. The second chakra is...
And can you tell us also,
Sure.
I know a little bit about this, and you can tell us more, I'm sure.
Sure.
The chakras are energy centers
yes.
in the body.
Right.
And they spin.
Yes,
spinning.
well, it's basically, chakra is a Sanskrit word meaning spinning wheel. And these spinning wheels are like vortexes of energy in the body. And each one is related to different issues in the body. So what we try to do, the purpose is to have all of those chakras spinning in a clockwise direction and open, so that you are functioning on a high energetic level. The problem occurs when the chakras start getting shut down.
And what happens if they're not spinning in a clockwise direction?
All different things, physical, emotional problems. It's basically the basis of what goes wrong in the body. So if you can keep your chakras open and spinning, you probably will be in pretty good shape. So the second chakra, which is it's called the navel. It's the spleen chakra, they call it, but it's actually 2 finger widths below the navel, and that's basically sexual issues, love. It also is the kidneys. It's connected to the adrenal glands. The third chakra, which is yellow, and it's the solar plexus. And that has to do with self-esteem. A lot of self-esteem issues are based in the solar plexus. The next is the heart chakra, which is green, and it's right where you would expect it to be, the middle of the chest. It's also involved in the thymus gland and lungs, heart, pericardium, that sort of thing. The fifth chakra is the throat chakra, and that's blue. And it has to do with the thyroid gland, but it's also to do with communication issues. Speaking your mind, telling your truth.
Right.
The sixth chakra is what's called the third eye, which is right in the middle of the forehead, just above the brow line. And this is
so right about here.
Yeah, right about there. And it has to do with intuition, basically. And it's the pituitary gland and the brain. And then the seventh chakra, which is at the crown, which is the top of the head, and it's either violet or gold or white are the colors associated with it, and it's the pineal gland, and it's basically your connection to the universe. It's your consciousness of higher levels of spiritual. So that's basically what the chakras are. That's what they look like. And a lot of times, if we were trying to determine quickly, if we want to get a quick idea of where people's chakras might be blocked, we sometimes use a pendulum to determine whether somebody's blocked.
And how does that work? Can you just tell us or show us how that would work?
Well, I would show you, except you have to kind of really be lying down. But yeah, but what I would do is I would hold the pendulum over a specific chakra, and then it actually starts to spin. And depending on where it spins, how it spins, if it spins in a circular motion, if it's oval, sometimes it stops completely, then you know you're in trouble because it means that the chakra is closed completely and you really have to spend time working on it to get it open and spinning. So there are a lot of different, there are books written about how to read a pendulum and how to determine.
And how to use that.
And how to use that. I use it very basically. I haven't done a lot of reading on it. I just know that what I'm looking for is the pendulum to swing in a clockwise direction. And then I know that you're in good shape, that your chakra is open.
And is it a different treatment if it's spinning in a counterclockwise, or if it's not? Are there different things to do, or does it just mean you need energy?
Depends on who you talk to. I mean, there are people who have spent lifetimes studying the different chakras and the ways the pendulum swings and the ways to treat it. I'm not one of those people, so I just use it. It's really just a very basic guide to let me know where somebody might need extra energy, basically.
And what kind of reactions do people have when you give Reiki?
Oh, it's usually pretty positive. I mean, it really feels good. It's very.
Like if you're a skeptic, like say somebody wants to bring their child or their spouse, and the person is skeptical or even unable to really integrate what you're doing, can it help them too?
Sure, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's helpful if somebody is a willing participant in the process. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, I've done Reiki on animals and they certainly, have no idea what you're doing, but they know that it feels good and they know that it works. I've seen it work. And I just, as a side note, my husband, who is the biggest skeptic in the world, which is really ironic, but I've gotten to the point where he's like, well, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing because it feels really good. And we've had some really remarkable results. We managed to get rid of some nasal polyps that he had, and he wasn't doing anything for it except getting Reiki. So, and his doctor said when he went back like 3 months later and they did x-rays and the polyps were gone. And he said to the doctor, my wife's been doing Reiki, you know, and he said, tell her to keep doing it. So I don't know.
Oh, so that's great.
Yeah, yes.
That's great. I was going to ask you, what can Reiki treat? Like, what sort of condition would you want to use Reiki for?
I would probably use it for almost anything. It's
serious health issues.
Absolutely. I wouldn't use it exclusively. I would use it in conjunction with Western medicine. I would never say don't do.
Are there any conditions that it's known to treat that are of a serious nature?
Well, frequently is serious nature, because a lot of times people come to Reiki when they're sort of out of options. You know, nothing is working, so they'll, you know, come to you as a last ditch effort. Please help me. So, I mean, I'm currently working with somebody who's undergoing chemotherapy, and it really helps you feel better, so it can sort of counteract the negative chemotherapy symptoms that will happen, because that stuff is so hard on your body, you know, so it can really help boost your system and strengthen your system. So I can't think of any possible thing that it can hurt. You know, it's all good.
That's great. That's great. I wanted to ask you too, you were talking about doing it on pets, and I've seen pictures of people doing Reiki on plants.
Oh yeah.
And like, what can Reiki benefit? What and who? Your plants? What does it do? Would it make a plant, like a sick plant?
Yeah, absolutely. What I would do is, if I were treating a plant, I would put my hands, if it's in a pot, you know, obviously, I would put my hands on the pot and I would give it Reiki. So yes, and it definitely can help plants. I've done it. You know?
Oh, yeah. And how long do you have to do it?
Not very long. They don't require a whole lot of energy.
I don't know if they have a chakra system or not.
No, well, they probably do. I don't know about it.
That's not your basic patient.
Not, yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. And if I wanted to learn Reiki, can I learn Reiki?
Anybody can learn Reiki. That's the other thing that intrigued me about it when I was first learning about it, is that you don't have to have any special abilities to learn Reiki. It really is. It's an innate information. We have it in our bodies. It just has to be kind of has to be flipped on. A switch has to be flipped, and that's what a Reiki master will do. It'll help you flip the switch, enable you to channel that particular energy. Reiki is a very specific energy. So, and it comes from the universe. It doesn't come from you, which is really helpful, because in that way, your strength doesn't get sapped by working on someone else.
Right.
You know,
which makes sense.
Which is, you know, it's great. In fact, you get a little when you're channeling it. You know, it sticks to you, so it's nice.
Yeah. No, you get your own.
You get your own benefits from it,
which is great.
Yes.
But do you teach this?
Yeah, of course.
So you're a Reiki master, and you teach it. From time to time.
Yes. I don't have any specific classes set up, but if people get in contact with me, and I will teach it to as few as 2 people at a time. I never teach more than 6 people at a time, because then it gets out of hand and it takes too long. But first level I teach in one day. Level 2 I teach in like a day and an evening. And then master level is something completely different. I won't go into it now, but it's very doable, and it really it's a full day, but it's definitely easily done.
And what about if you're brand new to it? Say you want to go to level 1, and then after you do level 1, is there a time period in between doing the second and the third?
Yeah, it's recommended that you wait 3 months before you go on to level 2. And then the length of time between level 2 and level 3 can be, for me, it was years, because I really didn't, in the beginning, my intention was not to be a teacher. I didn't. And unless you want to teach it, there's really no reason to go on to the 3rd level. But let me just say that even if you just do level 1, that's enough. You don't have to go any farther than level 1. To get the benefits and to be able to work on friends and family and pets and whatever else you want to work on.
You were talking today about doing it on yourself.
Oh, Absolutely.
So, and like, how does that work?
Well, it's the same because it's not coming from you.
Uh-huh.
It is coming from the universe. So you bring in the energy, and then there are specific hand placements that we are taught to use to give yourself a Reiki treatment. It's very relaxing. When I first learned it, it's recommended that you do it on yourself every day for 21 days after you get your Reiki attunement. So, and I could never get through the whole thing because I would fall asleep.
Oh, wow, that's effective.
It's very effective. It's very, very effective. But in the beginning, when I first learned Reiki, everybody has a Reiki miracle. Something happens that says, oh yeah, this is real. And for me, it was, I had just been attuned and I was working in the garage, and the garage door was about halfway down. Didn't realize it. I stood up quickly and beamed myself with the garage door, and I immediately just put my hands on my head and gave myself Reiki. And the pain went away in about 2 minutes. And I mean, I really clocked myself. So I was like, wow, this really works. I was in shock, but I was convinced.
Yeah, no, that's great.
It was very good.
Okay, well, that is good to know.
Yeah,
That's good to know. Is there anything else about Reiki that you would like everybody to know before we finish up?
Yeah, okay. Reiki can never be used for anything but good. And once you learn it, it's always there. It never goes away. It will always come back whenever you call upon it. So that's always
I know that some people are stronger than others at it. I've noticed that myself from getting Reiki, or maybe it's my reaction.
That's part of it, but it's also the more you do it, the stronger it becomes. And of course, when you go on to the second level, you learn symbols which help you focus and kind of magnify the energy. So it's when you're in second level, it is going to be stronger, but that doesn't negate anything you learn in first level. You can still be a very strong Reiki practitioner. It doesn't really, it doesn't impede you in any way. It doesn't hinder you in any way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you for being my guest.
You're very welcome.
So nice to talk to you again.
Yes.
And thank you for tuning in to Ready to Heal, and looking forward to seeing you next time. Hi, I'm back with my guest, Linda Hendrick. We're going to talk some more about Reiki, and right now she's going to do a demonstration on me. A lot of times people are laying down, but in this demonstration, I am going to be sitting up. Okay, so Linda.
Okay, so let me just explain that. Ideally, a Reiki session would be somebody lying on a table, and we have lots of time, and we have soft music playing, and it's very peaceful. But this is an alternative that you can use under other circumstances if you don't have enough time. This is usually an abbreviated session, and you can have somebody seated. So this would also work if somebody was unable to lie down on a table, if they were in a wheelchair, or if you were in someplace like an airport where lying down wasn't an option. So this is basically what we like to, some people call it a Reiki quickie. But so we would start at the top of the head, and
Should I have my feet flat on the floor?
Yes, you should.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, so just
Always
tell me
best.
if I'm doing this right.
Right.
Okay.
Your legs should be not crossed, stand on the floor.
Okay.
And depending on how much time you have, you're going to hold each position for a couple of minutes, probably 2 to 3 minutes. We won't do that because we don't have the time to do that. But this would be the first position where you would place your hands, which is at the crown chakra. Okay. And that's feeling pretty good. Nice. Okay. And there's a lot of freedom within as far as where you place your hands. There are certain prescribed positions, but I also always like to do the ears. That always feels really good to have that done to you. What do you think?
No, I think it's good. That isn't one that I've ever really had done before. But,
I know, but it's
and
one.
I know
Yeah.
in some situations you touch, and in other situations you don't touch. Right? You can be you can be like a little bit off the person, or you
certainly.
can be right on. It doesn't matter, or
It
does it matter?
Well, it does and it doesn't. There are. It can get a little complicated. Okay, I'm going to move to the next position, which would be on your shoulders.
Okay.
It depends on the situation, and I don't want to get too complex, but everybody is not only has chakras, but our bodies have different energy bodies that surround the body, and they're different levels. And a lot of times, somebody's problem can be located in one of the bodies, the energy bodies that surround the body. So you might want to put your hands where you perceive the blockage is, which might be not on the body, but it might be on the emotional level or on the etheric level. It gets a little complicated, and I don't want to get too confusing.
Okay.
But in those cases, you might want to actually put your hand, be working outside of the body.
Okay.
Okay.
But close to the body?
Or not necessarily.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to move now to the next position, which would be one hand in the front and one hand at the back of the throat. And the advantage to this is you're getting the back and the front at the same time. When you're doing a full Reiki session, you would work on somebody on one side and then turn them over on the table and work on their back. So this way you get to do both at the same time, which also cuts down on the amount of time that you would want to.
And I can feel that.
Yeah. If my recollection serves me, your throat chakra is always one that needs a lot of attention.
That's right.
Right. Okay. And then we'll move to the heart, and I'm putting my hand on your back, sort of at the same level as my hand in the front. And then we would move down to the solar plexus, and I'm just going to get behind you here.
Make it easier by sitting up.
Yeah, that would be good. I know it's hard because this is very relaxing, and you want to just go,
Right.
Right, I know. It's time for a Reiki treatment. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we go down to the base of the spine. My hand is on the base of her spine and going, could you just spread your legs a little bit? Okay, and my hand is going to be just here. And so this is basically the first chakra area. And then from there, we would do the knees. So I'm just going to.
Can I sit back now?
Yes, you can sit back. Right, we would do that. And the knees basically would be the last position that we would do in the seated treatment.
And now, do most of these correspond to chakras?
Yes.
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 Okay.
And then what we would do was once we finished, we would sort of just sweep your aura and just shake off any kind of negative. Okay. Now, normally this would take probably 15 minutes seated in a chair, but of course, obviously, we're not going to take up the whole show doing that.
Right. And a normal Reiki session is
about an hour.
Yeah,
it's about an hour.
Okay.
Because then you work on many more of the positions. And if you've got a specific problem, say if you had tendinitis in your elbow, we might want to spend time just putting our hands
extra time
just on the specific area.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense.